In this video, I'll be talking all about negative ties and why it's good to have them released with Archangel Michael in relation to people in your life, presently and from the past. Hello, my name is Brian McCullen. I have a video linked up in the corner with the cutting of negative ties meditation, but this video explains all about the dynamics of cutting negative ties with Archangel Michael. Firstly, we need to look at how energy dynamics are formed between people. We have connections of love, and we can form connections not of love, or as we say, negativity. So for example, if I have a brother and when we were kids he used to bully me, then I would have connections of love because he is my brother, but also have formed connections of ties of resentment, anger, or even fear because of that bullying. And even though we're now adults, those old negative ties can still be there. So we cut negative ties with my brother, with Archangel Michael, and this releases the negative connection of resentment, anger, hurt, and fear. And it also helps release those negative connections on my brother's side in relation to guilt, sadness, shame that he may feel. Another example is having negative ties with a parent, and negative ties with a parent usually are more prominent. For example, if as a child you feel like you're not good enough, lacking in confidence in relation to your mother or father, this can be projected onto anyone else in authority in your life, as in a boss or anyone who is older than you, or especially those that remind you of your parents. These feelings of not feeling good enough can come to the surface and cause an imbalance in that relationship. I had a lady as a client who had issues with her boss, and we cut negative ties, and in the healing her father energetically kept showing up to have negative ties cut with him too. It was only after the client realized that her boss did remind her of her father, and she was mirroring her relationship with her father onto the relationship that she had with her boss. With parents, it is recommended that we cut negative ties ideally with them for at least 7 days. The father is the teacher of how we relate to the males in our lives, and the mother is the teacher of how we relate to the females in our lives. So when we cut negative ties with a parent, it releases negative dynamics of how we relate to everyone of that gender, as in the males or the females in our life. We can cut negative ties with family members or in-laws that we're having issues with. So if there is some family member that has the ability to throw us off balance, or to push or even stomp on our buttons, to cut negative ties with them is very, very good. After a few days of cutting negative ties, it changes the energies, the dynamics of the way that we relate to them, and vice versa. So now we come to cutting negative ties with romantic partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, ex-husbands and ex-wives. I cut negative ties with my wife at least twice a week, and some people are surprised by this. But this does not mean that there's a lot of negativity there. In fact, it can mean the opposite, because I cut negative ties to keep the energy in our relationship fresh. In all romantic relationships, we can all fall into set roles which can cause the relationship to become a little bit stale. So if you've had an argument with your partner 4 weeks ago, for example, or last year, you could still be a bit hurt or upset, and cutting of negative ties can help with releasing that in relation to your partner. Or if your partner is stressed out from work, you could be picking up on that stress. And again, cutting of negative ties will help release your partner's stress from you. Also, with ex-partners, cutting of negative ties is brilliant, even if the person is no longer in our lives. I had a client who had a few ex-boyfriends and she met this wonderful new man in her life. However, she began to project the old stuff from previous romantic relationships onto this new relationship. And we cut negative ties with the ex-boyfriends, and bit by bit she started seeing her new boyfriend was different and allowed him to be himself. We all have baggage, we all have stuff, but by cutting of negative ties, we have less baggage and we have a little less stuff. We can also cut negative ties with someone who has passed on, and this will help them even though they have passed on. So if it's a parent who has died, it will still help them where they are. Also, with the loved one that has passed, we can cut negative ties. If there are ties of excessive grief, and don't get me wrong, it is totally natural to grieve and to miss the person that has passed. But I'm talking about when it's excessive grief, all-consuming grief. Our loved one who has passed would not want us to feel like that. We can cut negative ties with our children, and someone might ask, whoa, why or how could you cut negative ties with your kids? Well, most parents have fear, worry, and anxiety around their children. For them being safe, healthy, being treated well in school, there can be lots of different reasons. Also, as parents, we can be frustrated with our child's behavior, no matter how good a parent we try to be. And again, cutting of negative ties can help with clearing those negative emotions and thoughts from our relationship with our child. Cutting of negative ties can enhance relationships, friendships. So if you have a friend who is a little bit negative or depressed at the moment about something, and after spending time with them, you may feel a bit down yourself, cutting of negative ties will help free up that energy for you in relation to that person. Ideally, you cut negative ties with one person at a time. When I learned how to cut negative ties at least 20 years ago, I got so excited I cut free all negative ties with everyone at the same time, and I had a very sick tummy for about 3 days. My poor tummy was trying to release all the emotional stuff at the same time. So this is why you don't overdo it with cutting of negative ties. One person, ideally at a time. And for how long depends on how much negativity there is between you both. So how often do you do the cutting of negative ties with somebody? Well, it depends on the relationship with the person. For a romantic partner, ideally cut negative ties for 7 days in a row. Then afterwards, maybe twice a week. For a parent, ideally 7 days. For a family member, or a friend, or a work colleague, 3 days in a row. Unless you feel more is needed. By the way, out of the blue, you may get the vibe to cut negative ties with someone from the past or the present, and that's okay. Trust your intuition. Remember, cutting of negative ties helps you and the other person. So when we are cutting in negative ties with Archangel Michael, it is best to give him at least 5 minutes to do this. A lot of people rush through the process, but they don't give the angels enough time. And they don't realize that the angels have to access your emotional and mental pathways and your inner child, and even more, to assist with the process of cutting negative ties. This is all about you learning how to be responsible for your energy field and helping to get along with others in a better way. Also helping to feel more energetically free within ourselves and in our own power, so that we can truly relate to others in a more loving and compassionate way. This talk is not a comprehensive teaching on the subject, but more so to give ideas of what you can use it for. I could honestly talk for hours on this subject alone, but because it's YouTube, I have to keep it short and sweet. I hope you like this talk on negative ties, and if you do, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And if you feel that this can be a benefit to somebody else, feel free to pass it on. Also, please do leave a comment below to let me know how this talk has helped you. Thank you.